All right, so hello everybody. You already know it's your boy. I forgot my name for a second, but it doesn't matter. It's Marcel. Hello. Today, going back to some of the videos that I started putting on my channel and that people said they really liked, and people were DMing me that were really helpful, where we just talked about some art tips, talked about some of the stuff that artists and people who create go through. So today is going to be another one of those videos. And in the background, I'm going to be, so in the background, I've got a recording of me inking in one of the illustrations I put on my Instagram earlier this week. So either watch it or listen. I recommend you do both, but do you. Today's topic is on how to stay productive in art and illustration, even when you really don't feel like, say, drawing or coming up with something new or generating new ideas. Or even when you're just going through an art block, which is totally normal. A lot of people, it's super hard. No, everyone really. It's hard to just stay on the ball all the time, and you don't have to be on the ball all the time. It's cool to take a break. So I've got a couple tips here for how to stay productive when you're not feeling it and you're not in the mood to create. So let's run through them. The first tip I have is kind of to realign what your goals are. I think in my experience and in the experience of the people I've done consulting for, or my friends who I've talked to, or other people in creative fields, I think it's really easy to get burned out and feel hopeless with your art when there doesn't seem like a purpose to it. And without getting into the big overarching philosophy of why do we make or why do we do anything, having a goal with your work is a really good idea for helping you stay in the game. For instance, it's really just thinking about why, or what's your end goal? If you would like to eventually work for an animation studio and you're feeling really burnt out and you have no ideas, well, then maybe it's a good idea to think about what skills do I need to work in an animation studio that I currently don't have? Or how can I get better at animating? Or how does this one specific part of animation work that I haven't had the chance to understand yet? So you know what I mean? So maybe being productive in that sense doesn't mean you have to go out and animate something if you're feeling burnt out and tired. And I almost said soggy. I guess that works. If you're feeling soggy, no, never mind. Erase that. Whatever. If you're feeling like that, go out and learn something. Also on goals. So I'll give myself as an example. Right now, I'm learning a lot of concept art because I'd like to go into the concept art field. I decided that a couple weeks ago. And I've also been feeling kind of burnt out with my work and thinking what can I do? How can I do it? And a big thing for me is I want to be a concept artist, but I know I do not have all the skills that professional concept artists have. So whenever I feel burnt out and I don't know what to do, my thinking is, well, what do concept artists do? How can I get better at digital painting or understanding production time? Or what are some of the jargon or words that artists in that field use? Or how can I build connections? And it can be really specific or it can be really general, but it's really just, what's your goal? If you want to eventually sell a bunch of paintings, you want to be a millionaire painter, and you're feeling burnt out from painting, you have no inspiration to paint, what can you do? Well, so if your goal was to become a millionaire painter, maybe, you can study painting a little bit, read some books on your favorite artists, read some articles, watch some YouTube videos. Being productive, I think, gets put in a box in our very capitalist field society, where to be productive, you actively have to be doing something or outputting, when in reality, being productive can also be taking in new information that you can later on do something with. So that's that one. So that's that tip. My next tip would be to watch other people. In illustration and creative work especially, there are always people doing things better than you, you know? Or there are always people doing things in ways you have never thought of doing them. A lot of how I believe we get better as illustrators, as artists, as creators, is from watching and then reabsorbing technique. And if you have no idea that a technique exists that would really upgrade your work, then you can't learn it and you can't get that extra boosts in your work. For example, in just the drawing that I have on the screen now for anyone watching and not just listening, inking is just a series of techniques for anyone who's just starting out or anyone who's a professional really. If you look back on how you used to ink and how you do it now, really it's you learned a new way to do something, you learned a way to be more efficient and to get lines smoother, to get X, Y, and Z happening. So that's a matter of technique, and a good way to learn new techniques is to watch other artists. So, go on Instagram, go to artists you like, find videos, go on YouTube. I know there's some artists on Twitch. There are really good ones on ArtStation right now who you can just look at their work, see how they're doing things, and just try to expose yourself to something new. Say you really like how an artist does cell shading, or how they draw feet, or how they use line weight in their work, and you want to try that out. That's great, because that's a really good way to get out of an art rut. And again, productivity does not only have to be, oh, I'm doing something specific to my work or something like that. It can also be just taking in new information that you can then use to grow. And again, you can take that same idea of watching others to absorb new techniques, see where you can grow, see where you're lacking, and apply it to the first tip that we talked about here, which was aligning what you do to your goals. So if you know that you want to work on, in big studios, animating things like Steven Universe, and you don't have any ideas for what to draw or what to create, or you're in an art rut, go and look at shows like Steven Universe, Adventure Time. Clarence is one of my favorites right now. And then study how those artists do things like inking in their characters, adding color, drawing their environments, creating storyboards, look at their art books, look at all of those things, All of that can easily be aligned to your goals. Because if you're constantly looking at what the people in the position that you want to get to are doing, then you can take in some of those tips, take those techniques, and then apply it to your own work. And if you just take a couple days to study and sketch and doodle, then I guarantee that will really help you in your work in the future. Another really important aspect of that, though, I would say, is if you're going to watch other people work or consume other people's creativity like that, it's really important that you're not getting bogged down and jealous, or not really jealous, but comparing yourself to someone at a different level in their art journey than you. I think it's really easy when we're doing stuff like that to, instead of thinking, that's a cool way to do that, I'd like to do that too, we get into this mindset of, wow, they do that really well, I'll never be that good. If you're going to watch how others work and watch their YouTube videos and look through their pages or study shows and art books, it's so important that you understand that just because someone is where you want to be and you're not, that doesn't mean you can't do it, So just take a step back and come at it with a fresh lens. The next tip that I have is just to take a break. Taking a break is important because as creatives, sometimes it's really hard to put a value to our creative work. And that's what it is, it's work. You don't expect someone to work all day at, say, a factory job and then not be tired when they get home. Being creative or illustrating or drawing or singing or anything like that yes, it requires a different kind of work maybe, or puts a different kind of strain on you from, say, highly physical jobs like carpentry or working at a Starbucks or something. Yes, it's different, but it's still work nonetheless. And in a lot of cases, maybe it's hard to come up with new ideas or draw something new or create something new because you're overworking yourself. In my own life, I find that sometimes throughout the week, I overwork myself. So on the weekend, when the weekend comes, I'll take a day to myself, I'll play a bunch of video games, hang out, and make a conscious effort not to beat myself up about not working, because rest is just as important as pushing out new things. You know, you can't always force your brain to be on overload, or else you're going to burn yourself out inevitably. That's going to happen to anyone. So again, just take a break if you're feeling that way. But also on that same idea, a lot of us use breaks, and I've seen this a lot of us use breaks as an excuse not to try and kick our butts back into the work, which that can be a super easy cycle to get lost in. You also have to have the self-discipline of saying, okay, I've rested up, even if I'm still in a rut right now and I feel like I'm not being productive and I'm not working towards my goal, I need to get up again and try, you know? So that's like the double-edged sword of this last tip. All right, so that is gonna wrap up this video. I think we talked about a lot of cool stuff. I hope it made sense. Be sure to, drop a comment. Tell me what you thought about it. Tell me if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, anything in this video that you want me to explain more about, and I can do that. Also, if you want more things like videos, sketchbooks, sketchbook scans, or drawings, or anything like that, be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I post a bunch of this stuff at Eat More Spiders, or check out my Patreon, where I put sketchbook scans, drawings, I give out stickers every month, and feel free to check it out and let me know what you think.